clipping. Under the points of emphasis, two important areas will be a focus for game officials. The NFL Players Association, coaches, and competition committee have all made a strong statement regarding respect among everyone on the field. We saw an increase in actions that clearly are not within the spirit and intent of this rule, and not representative of the respect due opponents and others on the field. Game officials have been instructed to strictly enforce the taunting rules, and players and coaches are reminded that 2 taunting penalties committed by an individual player will result in automatic disqualification. In addition, the taunting player may be fined and/or suspended, depending on the severity of the actions. A continued point of emphasis for the 2021 season is the use of helmet foul. It is a foul if a player lowers his head to initiate and make contact with his helmet against an opponent. The penalty is 15 yards, and the player could be disqualified. Even if not called on the field, such actions could warrant further review and discipline by the league.
The rule changes and points of emphasis we have discussed are for your protection and accountability to the high standards of safety, professionalism associated with playing in the National Football League. We in football operations are here to assist you if you have any questions. We wish you the very best as you begin another big season. Be safe, play smart. See you in training camp.
Back at it again here on the State of Football. Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, August 11th, 2021, part 267 here on the State of Football, Season 2, Episode 8. Back in the saddle. We're going global today on this beautiful Wednesday, broadcasting live from the great island of the Jersey Shore around the universe, wherever you may be. We're so happy to be live in color, hopefully surround sound inside your living room. We got a jam-packed show. We got Chris O'Leary joining us from the CFL. We've got Josh Alper from Pro Football Talk. We got Frankfurt Galaxy playmaking stud wide receiver Anthony Mahangu joining us here in just a second. But first, you know what it is Wednesday. From Rick the Ruler to Amanda Ruler, from New Jersey to Saskatchewan, up there, the McMaster Marauders assistant football coach, Amanda Ruler, checking in on the state and football each and every Wednesday. Good morning, Amanda. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Oh, what an intro. I'm always happy to be back on Wednesdays. Thank you again for having me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. And we are going global. We're going to go Elf League, CFL League. But first, real quick, before our first guest, we saw that opening intro, the NFL sending an instructional video to all 32 NFL teams yesterday in explaining the new rules being implemented here. And so 2 of the rules that we saw was 1, taunting, and a second taunting penalty will result in an automatic ejection and possible fine. And the second rule we saw there was, again, just the leading with the crown, which is a little bit questionable to me. It's amazing that Eric Reed is the player they chose to use the sample video. He's just like the NFL whipping boy. But what I saw was Eric Reed putting himself in position to make a clean tackle, leading with the shoulder. Sometimes the helmets are going to collide. It's the game of football. I just think there's too fuzzy of a line there to be able to clearly call these type of calls. I mean, arguably, you can call this every single play. So, and we were leaving it in the referee's hands. What do you make of these rule changes? Some people are calling it the no fun league.
That's exactly it. And especially on Twitter, everyone is saying it's the no fun league. Like, it's interesting that these guys train so much and they can beat their opponent, but not be able to celebrate. And I think that just kind of sucks. And I wish that wasn't the case. It definitely is taking away from the moment, the no fun league. They have coined it that. And I actually agree.
Yeah, and it's a shame because the helmet rule is really just fuzzy. And I think I get it. I understand it, especially with the extra game. You want to protect the quarterbacks, especially. I just think we're getting into dangerous territory where we're borderline ruining the game. Okay. And so these new rules came down the wire. The rules, Amanda Ruler, Rick the Ruler. It's a Wednesday morning kind of affair. We're going to dive into the week 1 CFL recap, get into the NFL training camp battles, news and notes, take a look at some of the quarterback situations. But first, joining us from over the pond, Anthony Mahangu joins us here on the State of Football. Frankfurt Galaxy wide receiver, European League of Football stud. He will be playing in the All-Star game, I'm sure of it. And that's because our scout Lorenz Leinweber was on location and he joined us on Monday. He sang the praise of Anthony Mahangu, who joins us here. Good morning, Anthony. How are you today? Thank you for joining us.
Well, good morning to you guys. Over here, it's already 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So, but thank you for having me. Thank you so much for the praise. I don't know if I deserve them all, but it's an honor to be here, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon. We'll just call it a brunch affair here at the Jersey Shore, Anthony. So you're joined by Amanda Ruler, McMaster assistant football coach, Rick Saratella here. And each Wednesday, we will have a European League of Football representative on the show, which we're really excited about because we're about halfway through the season. Anthony, tell me about your European League of Football experience. It is, by the way, the top level of pro football, American style, in Europe, and we're so glad to see it. The action is fast, it's furious, it's a well-coached product. But tell me from your mouth what it's been like to participate in the European League of Football.
Well, when I started to play football in France, the biggest team that I heard of was the Frankfurt Galaxy back in the days of the NFL Europe. And I started in 2007, and that's when the league collapsed. And to be able to get back, to that atmosphere of pro football in Europe is just amazing. And I'm really glad that I'm able to be part of the inaugural season of the ELF. I feel like it means a lot that the top European prospects, the guys who was able to go to college in the US or touch the NFL, I feel like it was really important for us to be part of it for the first year. And I mean, so far so good. I mean, we are at 6-1. We just got a win against Hamburg, who was the only undefeated team. They beat us the first game of the season. So right now, I mean, the spirits are high, and I mean, we got a lot of confidence for the remainder of the season.
Absolutely. Anthony Mahangu, wide receiver, Frankfurt Galaxy, along with Rick Saratella and Amanda Ruler. Amanda, where do you want to go here with Anthony?
Oh, it's exciting to see this footage, and I love that you said this is exciting for you to be a part of. What do you see as like the best part of the league so far? It's the first season, and where do you see it could improve on in the years to come?
The first one will be the communication and the visual content that they make for the fans. I mean, it's the first time that you see so many cameras around the field, so many highlights that they can provide to the fans in terms of interaction. I mean, it's simply amazing. Like, you really feel like you're part of a pro league, and that's what I was missing. Still a year ago, in the GFL, that was the German football league, one of the best league in Europe. So I feel like that would be the first thing. Of course, first season, everything cannot be perfect. Some franchise are new, and they had some struggle in terms of timing to get everything straight up before the beginning of the season. But I feel like right now we are setting a very high standard, and it can only go up from there for the next couple seasons.
No, yeah, it's really cool to see this, and we got to speak with the commissioner last Wednesday, which was amazing. So I got to dive a lot more into the league, and it's really cool to see the birth of this, and it's in its infancy. So I'm really excited to see where it's going to be going in the future.
Definitely, I can't wait to see that either.
Anthony Mahoganu, Galaxy wide receiver here. You're watching some highlights. Hey, Anthony, you got some wheels for some of the pro scouts that are tuned in, watching at home currently, maybe NFL, CFL. What are you weighing these days? What's the height? What's the weight? You got some wheels here. I mean, what's your 40 time? Let's get some information out to the scouts.
Well, you know, I'm 6'3", right now, 213 pounds. I mean, I got speed. I'm trying to tell people I got speed. It doesn't look like it because, you know, I got long legs. I'm a tall receiver. Pro day, you know, in 2018 didn't run the best. You know, I had a range of 4.55. Honestly, I'm a low 4.5 guy. With training can get in the high 4.4s, but right now I'm at a low 4.5, and believe me, I got some gear with me. Don't worry.
No, that's plenty fast enough. We just call you a long strider. That's all. But hey,
Exactly.
that's great speed for that height and size.
Hold on, don't sleep on me. I got some
we're
moves,
not sleeping. That's why you're here on the State of Football. We're here to get you out there, and you're making a lot of plays all over the field in the European League of Football. You got size, you got speed, you got pedigree. I'm curious to know, because you are French born, I know, Anthony, but you did play college football in the States at Purdue. I'm curious to know how many of those players are currently in the European League of Football, where they played collegiately in the United States and then returned to Europe to come participate in this pro league. Do you know?
Well, to be honest, there haven't been many European guys, especially skilled players, who are able to go to college. Usually in Europe, especially Germany, Austria, we make big guys, you know, offensive linemen, defensive linemen. But when it comes to the skills, I mean, all you got to do is look in California, Texas, Florida, and you got all the skilled players that you want. So again, in terms of skill, I think I'm among the only one who was able to make it to a D1 and touch the NFL. But we got some guys from the NFL Pathway program. Anthony dabile Wolf, who played for the Giants and the Falcons. We had running back Chris Ezelia with Cologne. Who else? We got some guys who play D1. In my team, I got Joachim Christensen, who played in a D1 AA school in New York, Wagner College. So, I mean, I can't name everybody, but we definitely got some guys who reach the high level in the U.S. And you know, like I still know some French right now who are in college, and you know, maybe now the ELF can be another goal that they can reach if the NFL doesn't work. You know.
Absolutely. Is Anthony dabile playing in the European League of Football?
Yes, sir. He plays for Leipzig Kings, and he's doing tremendous things as well.
I did not know that. That's great to know. I remember him being here in Jersey with the Giants. Absolutely. We're talking to Anthony Mahoganu, Frankfurt Galaxy wide receiver, along with Amanda Ruler, Rick Saratella, here on the State of Football, part of the Fan Nation Network on Sports Illustrated. So, Anthony, are you permanently living out in Europe now? Are you temporarily there? Because I know you were playing and living in the States. So where do you consider your hometown now?
Oh, that's a tough question. Let's say that the world is my home. To be honest, I guess home is, you know, where I play football. You know, obviously, when I left France to go to a JUCO and then to Purdue, believe me, like home was the United States. You know, always wanted to play D1. Got the privilege to play in one of the best conference, the Big Ten. Got a chance to reach the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles, and obviously, I want to get back there. That's not. I don't hide my goals. You know, that's definitely one of my goals, to get back to the NFL and be on a 53-man roster and show everybody that, no matter where you come from, with hard work, discipline, and strong faith, you can achieve anything. You just got to be at the right place at the right time.
Great message, Anthony. You're well on your way. We'll be keeping tabs. We're glad to get your name out here. Thank you for joining us. Amanda, you got one more for Anthony before we let him go?
Yeah. I got two questions. I wanted to know if you had the opportunity to play in the CFL, would you? And then I wanted to just touch on your NFL analysis job for your French media. Just talk about that a little bit.
For sure. So in 2020, I was selected for some combine in Toronto for the CFL. They have this program of CFL 2.0 where they're adding a few global players. And earlier this year, I got drafted in the first round by Ottawa. However, I explained, and not only to Ottawa, but all the teams in the CFL, that for 2021, I really wanted to and needed to stay in Europe and to be a part of this first season of the ELF. It really meant a lot to me, for the reason I explained to you guys earlier. And all the teams understood, where I was coming from, and Ottawa decided to still, draft me. It's a privilege. So right now the plan is to join them for the end of the season, when hopefully when I win a championship with Frankfurt, then I'll take a flight and go to Ottawa.
Very cool. I'll be in Ontario, so can't wait to see you in Ontario. Also, just really quick, your NFL analysis job for French media. Talk about that a little bit. What do you do?
All right. So basically, we work as a duo. I got the commentator with me, Peter Anderson, a great guy. He's a half American, half French, grew up, in American sports, and he's really passionate about it. He's the lead guy, and when I come in motion is, to explain the game, the X's and O's, why a play has been called, why did we run the ball, why did we pass the ball, what is the tendency, the philosophy. I'm trying to basically give all the knowledge that I can. But the toughest job for me is not to be too much of an expert, because our audience in France is still new. They're still new to the game. They try to understand everything. So my goal is really to keep it simple as much as possible, but still, for the guys who understand the game already, I still want them to stay with me and watch the game. So, I gotta just keep the balance. But for the little story, I guess my biggest mistake for my first year as an NFL analyst was in a Super Bowl to bet against Tom Brady. Rookie mistake. You're going to say rookie mistake. I know. I decided to go with, the young guy.
Anthony, come on.
I know. Believe me, I know. But like
this guy.
Like we said, hey, you live and learn.
Now you know. If you
Never
don't know,
bet against him. Who would do that?
The infamous words of Christopher Wallace. Well, Anthony, this has been a lot of fun. We appreciate you taking the time here to join us here on the State of Football. We hope to see you again after you raise the championship trophy and before you depart for Ottawa. A little breaking news: the Ottawa Red Blacks might be getting a boost here later on in the season. But after you hoist that European League of Football championship trophy, we got to ask the commissioner what they're calling that bad boy. Please do join us again here on the State of Football, and enjoy the rest of your day. We appreciate the time.
Well, thank you so much for having me. God bless you guys, and keep doing what you do best. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Right back at you, Anthony. That's Anthony Mahangu, Frankfurt Galaxy wide receiver. Amanda, what a great story. And that's fascinating to me. I mean, you've really got the European players wanting and believing in this league. We were talking to him before we went live. He said, hey, we're tired of soccer being the only football out here in Europe, and we are ready to embrace this thing. That's pretty big, because I'm sure the CFL did have more money to offer and pay him, but he said, no. I want to be part of this movement here in Europe.
It was so interesting to hear his take, and I agree with that. And I'm really excited for where that league is going, and I'm excited for him and everyone involved in it. So, oh, I just can't wait to see it thrive.
Yeah, no, we're excited for it. They got the All-Star game on October 3rd, the week leading into the back-to-back NFL doubleheader out there in London. They're going to have a All-Star game in Germany, so we're excited for that. And we'll keep you in tune on the state of football. We should call it the world of football. Every Wednesday, we'll be checking
All
in
worlds.
with. Yeah, we're going global here. We're never mind combing the country. We're spanning the globe, searching for talent. We don't care where you play. And so I'll be doing my training camp tour, getting around some NFL camps and more importantly, some college football camps. But when it comes to the NFL Pulse, it's no secret. Pro Football Talk covers it better than any media outlet out there. And right now we have one of those head contributors, Josh Alper from Pro Football Talk, joining us here on the State of Football, making a cameo appearance here on the State of Football. Good morning, Josh. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. His audio needs to get turned up there a little bit, Samantha. So, Josh, there's a lot of moving and shaking around the league with the quarterback situations. Let's get into, I saw your most recent story here in my backyard, David Gettleman, the New York Giants. We've heard about how this organization is all in on Daniel Jones. It truly is a make or break season. The turnovers have to stop. The maturity has to begin. And the New York Giants are only going to go as far as Daniel Jones can carry them. What do you make of this situation? Are you a Daniel Jones believer? And is David Gettleman out the door if the Giants don't make the playoffs this year?
I think that Dave Gettleman probably is. I think that it's his fourth year, and things don't get better now. I think it's hard to see that he's the guy who has the right formula to bring it back together for the Giants. So I think for him, it's just a favor for Daniel Jones because I think that if you're going into
Josh, I hate to interrupt you. We're having trouble hearing you. So let's pop Josh off, see if you can work with them, Samantha, offline there. And Amanda, we'll hopefully get Josh Alper back here, Pro Football Talk, who I'm excited to talk to. But, the New York Football Giants here, Daniel Jones. What do you make of this situation? Obviously, Saquon Barkley is going to have something to say, and you hope that he brings some reliability and, more important, durability to kind of take some of the pressure off of Daniel Jones. But if the Giants will make the playoffs here, I don't know if David Gettleman's staying.
I don't know either. It's interesting to see this situation too. So I'm excited. I've been reading a lot of the articles on everything that everyone's been putting out there, and it's like everyone has different opinions on what's going on. And the Pro Football Talk has been exciting to kind of watch what's going on there.
Yeah, and some other news that came down the wire right before we went on the air that I wanted to discuss, because Indianapolis is another situation. Carson Wentz out 5 to 12 weeks there. Put a little monkey wrench in their season plans here. Is it going to be Jacob Eason? I see Sam Ehlinger, the rookie, getting some reps. Regardless of who the quarterback is, one thing we do know, general manager Chris Ballard and head coach Frank Wright will be back because they just got extended through 2026. So a 5-year extension for that GM head coaching deal. And Chris Ballard, I mean, say what you want about the quarterback situation. It's been a little bit of a revolving door from Andrew Luck to Jacoby Brissett to Phillip Rivers to Carson Wentz to, dare I say, Nick Foles. But, I mean, Chris Ballard, though, is really a great war room manager. I love the fact that he gives his scouts the platform to pound the table and state their case for their guys. But what do you make of the stability now? I think it's very important with NFL front offices to have both the GM and head coach sticking around for a little bit of time here.
Oh, 100%. If they keep having that turnover, how can they sustain a good flow? And that's for anything that we can talk about. So it's interesting what's going on.
And I think we're trying to get Josh Alper, Pro Football Tech, back up here, and hopefully he returns. Hard Knocks debuted last night. Did you get a chance to catch any of this, Amanda?
I didn't know. Did you watch it?
I did.
What did you think?
Well, I don't put the TV on often unless I'm streaming football. You know, even my Yankees, I'm always listening. So I said, Samantha, get this HBO Max, Hard Knocks, whatever it is up here. And I had a couple hot takes. You know, one, go ahead.
We got Josh.
Oh, we got Josh?
Mhm.
All right, we'll save the Hard Knocks talk. I'll give you the sneak peek preview. I'll tell you my take on Dak Prescott. I didn't like what I saw.
Okay.
Let's pop up Josh Alper back. Do we have Josh's audio?
Is this better?
Yes, there we go. Loud and
We got
clear.
you.
Good morning, Josh. How are you? I know you're a busy man. I know you probably got another story to meet a deadline because you guys are cranking out the content there at Pro Football Talk. So going back to the Giants question, it's really, are you a believer in Daniel Jones?
I'm sorry, now I can't. Hold on.
You can't hear.
Try again.
Okay, we can hear you. Can you hear us? Josh Alper. How about, type in the question in the chat room. Are you a believer in Daniel Jones?
There we go.
And now we lost his audio.
Or again, he's on mute.
Oh, I'm not on mute.
No, he is. but-
No. Hey, it's a live program. That's what happens. You can hear me, right?
I'm back
There you
here.
go.
Yeah.
All right. We got
I need to see more consistency from Daniel Jones before there's a believer. It's the upside is so high, and then there's 2 or 3 plays a game where it just sinks everything that he's done before, and it's happened too often in the first 2 seasons. And you know, they've done so much work to build this team around him, but having Kenny Golladay and having all those guys doesn't help if you just hand the ball over to the other team. And it got better as the year went on last year, and there were some definitely encouraging signs there at the end. But between getting hurt and turning the ball over, you just need to be there 17, still getting used to this, 17 weeks a year and getting the job done every single time to be that quarterback that they need.
Yeah, and I think they'll have trouble winning more than 7 games personally, but I hope they do better. Let's talk about the Denver Broncos situation. Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Lock have been named co-starters. I think Drew Lock is going to get the first start here during the preseason week 1. How do you ultimately see this unfolding? Who will be in the saddle week 1 kickoff, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think that Drew Lock has the advantage. He's his second year in the offense. He's been there before. He's a guy who I think you have to look at upside and say that, you know, you have a pretty good idea of what Teddy Bridgewater is as an NFL quarterback. And they brought him in to be a stable guy and a guy who, if Drew Lock can't get it done, is a guy who can run the offense and hopefully support a defense that's really good and come up with better results than they've had in the last few seasons. But I think they want Drew Lock to win this job. I think they want him to show that he's clearly the better quarterback. Every word out of Denver right now is that he hasn't done it, but I think, you know, anything before the preseason games is premature. He's starting this one. They say Bridgewater's starting the next one. I think you have a pretty good idea at that point. And if it's not Drew Lock, though, I think you're going to see the Broncos right back in the mix for, you know, if they can trade for Aaron Rodgers next offseason, I think that's probably going to be their first thing, even if Drew Lock wins that job, honestly.
Yeah, another organization with a revolving door. They could be a dark horse for Deshaun Watson, too, because there's really not too many landing spots for him either. I know the Eagles are hot to trot. But let me ask you, George Patton in Denver, to your point, you know, Bridgewater got off to a hot start, then faded at the end of the season. So between injury inconsistencies, consistencies of his performance, I do agree with you. I think they want Drew Lock to win that job. Now, Chicago, Amanda is a big Bears fan here. I think she is going to want to hear your thoughts on Justin Fields, because Matt Nagy there has pretty much came out and anointed Andy Dalton as the starter. But there's a big buzz, especially amongst the Bears players. I heard Allen Robinson talking to Brian Baldinger on NFL Network the other day, and he just ranted and raved about Justin Fields. Do you think Fields has a shot to win this starting quarterback job out of the gate?
I think that there is a chance. I think that these next couple of weeks with the preseason games are going to be big for that. If he's overwhelming, if he goes out there and does the kind of things that, he did at Ohio State and just ransacks defenses, I don't know how the Bears can keep going back to the Andy Dalton well. I think that it's not that dissimilar from Denver, except that I think Fields is a first-round pick, so has even more, perceived upside than Drew Lock, and Andy Dalton's even, longer in the tooth than Teddy Bridgewater. So it's such a placeholder situation that if there's a sign that Drew, that Justin Fields is ready to go right now, I don't know how you keep turning to Andy Dalton. If you go out there and you lose a couple of games early in the season, and that winds up costing you the playoffs, it's going to cost cost people jobs. I really think that it does nothing for Matt Nagy, Ryan Pace, or anybody in the Bears to put this off any longer than it needs to be.
Thank you for that take.
That's what I think. Nick Foles is still hanging out over there,
right? Oh my goodness! Thank you so much, because that's what I've been saying and kind of putting out there on Twitter. Justin Fields needs to be starting, but everyone's fighting against it. So I'm glad that you said that and put that out there.
Well, the cerebral capability and the mental capacity has been a lot of praise there coming out of Bears camp for Justin Fields. We got Josh Alper, Pro Football Talk, along with Rick Saratella, Amanda Ruler. Amanda, anything else you got here for Josh?
I just thought it was interesting to see Mitch Trubisky say that he was finally with a team that wants him. He felt wanted. What do you think of Mitch this season? What will he do?
Unless something goes catastrophically wrong for Buffalo, he'll stand on a sideline with a ball cap on and clap his hands every now and then and chart plays. It's funny, I think Mitch Trubisky, I can only imagine how hard the last 4 years have been for him personally at times. Obviously didn't play well enough, didn't do well enough. But, that it's just there's something funny about the place where they want me. They want me as far away from the field as I can get. And, that's the best case scenario for the Bills. And look, if he plays, I think there are things he's going to be able to do in that offense, that there's better players around him than he had for most of his time in Chicago. I think that's probably true. But look, it's Josh Allen's team, and Mitch Trubisky could have a very long, nice career ahead of him as a backup who's goes from team to team and bounces around and maybe gets some starts here and there. But I don't think anybody's going to be clamoring to see him in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's well on his way to the Charlie Whitehurst path. He's collected quite a bit of cash, that Mitchell Trubisky. But I got to say, I thought it was a good signing, though, in terms of he does a lot of similar things as Josh Allen, so they won't have to change their whole offense around. But yes, if Mitchell Trubisky's in there come playoff time, the Bills will be in trouble. One last one for you, Josh. We're going around the league with the QB carousel. San Francisco is fascinating because Jimmy G, you hear, is playing the best football of his life. Trey Lance is playing so good they can't keep him on the sidelines. Kyle Shanahan has come out and said, hey, we're going to have these specialty packages a la Taysom Hill. I can't call this one. This one really seems like every day it could go either way. Is Trey Lance really ready to make that step from North Dakota State, playing just 13 career games at the FCS level, to week one NFL turning over the keys to the Cadillac, Joe?
Good question.
It's not so dissimilar, I think, from what's going on in Chicago, is that you have this guy who's obviously going to be the starter, and so it's just a question of when. I think Garoppolo has a little bit more of an ability to hold off Trey Lance, and I think that especially when you go back to when everybody was healthy 2 years ago, the 49ers were in the Super Bowl. I think that clearly the 49ers are going to move on from Garoppolo at some point, but I do think that what you're saying about, relative inexperience for Lance, maybe is the game going to be too fast for him, or those things going to happen? You give him some time to adjust and feel things out, and if it turns out being Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes is the one you always point, people always point to, but Alex Smith did the same thing with Colin Kaepernick for the 49ers, and they sprinkled Kaepernick in and got some things out of him and went to the NFC Championship game that season. I think that's almost the best case scenario for the 49ers. And then you move on from Garoppolo in the offseason and get some more, assets to build around Trey Lance.
No doubt about it. Jimmy Garoppolo could be on the move. We're always moving and grooving here on the State of Football. Lucky to have Josh Alper, Pro Football Talk, covering the league as well as anyone. Quickly here, Josh, did you get a chance to watch Hard Knocks yet? The first episode.
I have not watched it yet, so I have to catch up on that.
Okay, spoiler alert. We're going to talk about it once you depart, so I don't want to ruin it for you. Anything else that the listening audience at home should be on the lookout for there on Pro Football Talk? You working on anything that's going to be up there later on today? What do you got cooking?
Biggest thing right now, the Frank Reich and Chris Ballard just got contract extensions with the Colts. So, all systems go there. Obviously waiting to hear what Carson Wentz is going to do and when he's going to be back. Nothing. We're keeping our eye on everything that's going on. And so, I think that's the big news of the morning thus far. But I'm sure something else will come up big in the afternoon. It's the NFL. Never sleeps.
Yeah, it's a great time of year. It's a busy time of year, and we appreciate you being here, Josh. So thank you so much for waking up and joining us on the State of Football.
Have a good one, guys.
All right, there you have it. Josh Alper blessing us with his grace here on the State of Football. Amanda, Josh does as good a job as anybody. They're like a content factory machine over there at Pro Football Talk.
So much. It's just article after article. It pumps out. So I always love reading that. Also, 3 Down Nations, really good for CFL articles. Just putting that out there as well. They're also like article. Yeah. Same type of situation.
For sure. And so we have a few minutes here until our last guest, which is Chris O'Leary, who will join us from the CFL. I want to get back to the Hard Knocks, though, because I did get a chance to see it. And I have a couple of hot takes. Or not hot takes.
Go for
impressions.
It. Let's hear it.
One, Dak Prescott. Come on, man. I mean, I've never seen this kind of conduct when I was on the football field where, especially from the quarterback position, which is supposed to be the leader of a team, where he's just like blatantly complaining about being taken out and cussing to the coaches and like complaining that they're limiting his activity. And hey, wouldn't you know it? Oh, we got to pull Dak because his arm is tired. He's playing too much. And so here you are bitching and moaning, complaining about being taken out. And then you go and strain your arm. Well, hey, maybe you should listen to your coaches. But to me, it seemed like Mike McCartney really doesn't have a strong grasp. So here's my observations. Mike McCarthy, it's hard for him to generate energy. Like, even when he's trying to get motivated or psyched up or tough, it just comes across as kind of a laissez-faire kind of effort. Like, come on, Mike, get some espresso, bro. Come on, man, fire me up. I don't know. I'm like ready to read a book on a beach, listening to Mike McCartney talk about hoisting the Lombardi. It's like a snooze fest, Mike McCartney. Then also, he's asking the trainer, yo, if Dak's arm is hurt, why is he out here on the field? And the trainer's like, because he wanted to be. And Mike McCartney's like, well, don't you think we should take him in the locker room and examine him? Oh, Mike, whatever you want to do. Blah, 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 blah. Mike's bumbling and stumbling around. Hey, Dak, why don't you go in the locker room? Dude, hey, Dak, how about you go get checked out, bro? We just gave you $30 million, $40 million a year, and you're out here hanging out because you can't play and you're hurt. Why don't you go get checked out, bro?
Exactly. And he did suffer a compound fracture and dislocation of his right ankle, I believe, in February.
And that's the other thing.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
So this is the other news that comes out. He says, oh, by the way, I had to have 2 operations on my ankle. He's like, yeah, we kept that under wraps. And then, well, no, actually you didn't, because it's the lead-in segment of the Hard Knocks, and you're telling the whole world. You didn't need to tell everybody that. Why? Yeah. Why? Why are you telling it? Why are you sharing that with everybody? I mean, there's just no need to. I don't know. If I'm a football team, I'm not sharing my weaknesses with you. We kept it under wraps. Let me tell everybody. And then Ezekiel Elliott, I mean, I don't know if I should have laughed or cried with the fact that he didn't know how to wrap a present. And I mean, like Bart Scott, I agree with him. He's like, I didn't know pro football players were supposed to exchange gifts like that for your birthday. He's like, I never seen anything like this. But the fact that he had to pull up a YouTube video to learn how to wrap a gift, a square box, and he had to get a YouTube video instructional to figure out how to do this here. I mean, really? Deke? Come on. So there's my hot takes.
Shocking. Part of my childhood growing up was my mom showed me how to wrap presents in a beautiful way. My mom's standing over there. She's like, this lady. Yeah.
So we got to send
She's gonna pop
Ezekiel
her head in.
to go visit your mom. Hey, Mom.
Hey.
You're doing
This
great.
lady.
Great work over there.
Everything. It's all about me.
Oh my goodness. And Cameo gone.
It's a family affair. There you go. Hey, that's what we do here on the State of Football. We laugh, we cry, we share hugs. It's a love fest here with the man the ruler, Rick the ruler, from Canada to Jersey, back over to Canada. We're making the Bermuda Triangle as we welcome in Chris O'Leary, our next guest here, CFL staff writer. He joins the State of Football, making his debut, part of the Fan Nation Network on Sports Illustrated. Good morning, Chris. Thank you for joining us. Rick Saratella, along with Amanda Ruler. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. We're doing outstanding. We're having some fun here on the State of Football. Amanda, I'm going to let you kick this one off.
I'm so excited to finally see you in person. I read all of your stuff. I'm fangirling, I guess. Huge CFL fan over here. Oh my gosh, week 1 out of the way. I just want to hear your take. How did you enjoy it? What are your thoughts so far? So much to unwrap right now.
I think, first of all, I was just happy to actually be able to watch CFL football for the first time since November 2019. It's been such a long year. And seeing it firsthand, just working in the league office, or I guess virtually working in the league office since last March. It's been a really hard year, right, for a lot of people. And and a lot of uncertainty, I think, across the board. Like there were just a lot of dark moments over the last year and a half where we didn't know what the future of the league would look like. And I think we went into this calendar year even a little hesitant to commit to say that, there would be a 2021 season. So just to have that kickoff and to just see fans back in the stands in, that first game in Winnipeg was so cool for me, just to see it, even just sitting in my living room watching it, just seeing a stadium full of people in Canada. That was a first, right? Post-pandemic, or I guess we're not post-pandemic yet, but in this leg of the pandemic. And it just felt good to see people back in stands. And then, you go to Saskatchewan, same thing. And just such a passionate crowd there always. And it was just fun. And, I think we talked a lot about rust being a factor in week 1 and probably week 2 and 3. But, I think maybe other than the Ottawa-Winnipeg game, you can't really say that it was super apparent. And that was a pleasant surprise for me. It's just to see the teams, I think in 3 out of the 4 games, play at a really high pace. It didn't look extremely sloppy or anything, and I think that's such a challenge for all the teams to go into this without preseason games. And I think to only have one of them kind of look like a preseason game in some regards was a success as well.
Yeah, it was very interesting because I was here in Saskatchewan to see Sask BC game. Sask came out with such excitement and adrenaline, but they kind of lost their steam, and we that's what I've kind of saw with a lot of the games this last weekend. So how are you seeing this season going forward? Like, are we going to progress? It was hard for these guys because it's been 600 and some days. They've been off for 2 years. So we saw a lot of guys coming out and also getting injured quite a bit.
Yeah. The injuries, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm hoping for the best. And I know, in Saskatchewan, what they went through in training camp with all the Achilles injuries. You hope for the best on that front. I think the quality of football, I would think will continue to improve. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a jump in terms of the offenses, even this week. And then, I think when we get into next week and we get to week 4 or 5, we look back, I think we'll see, teams, I think offense is growing by leaps and bounds. I think you guys had Russ Landy on yesterday from the Alouettes, and he was talking about just that it's that training camp adage, right? That defenses progress faster than offenses. And I think we saw that in week one. I'd certainly agree with what he said there. And I think it's just that process. I think there's going to be that element of training camp, right, where there's a lot of learning on the fly and probably some hiccups. I think I think as we look at the next few weeks, I think it's going to serve the vets well. I feel like they'll adapt and be able to maybe find weaknesses and find things that they can attack better than the inexperienced players. And I think by the time we get to week 4 or 5, I think the quality of football will be in a really good spot. But I think these first couple of weeks, there's going to be some hiccups, and I think we saw a little bit of that in week 1.
Yeah, and personally, I've been asked by a lot of people about the soft tissue injuries that are happening league wide. There's so much. We saw it in Sask with the 4-5 Achilles injuries right now. Why do you think this kind of happened? Was the guys are not quite prepared for the season because they've been off for so long, or what's your take on that?
My completely medically uninformed take would be that I just think that you just can't duplicate that kind of training. And I think when you go in the normal world, in a non-pandemic world, you have your CFL off season is 6 months. These guys have a strict schedule that they work out through the off season. I think they give themselves about a month or 6 weeks to recover from the end of the season, and then early in the new year they'll start to ramp up their training, and they're kind of on a path. And obviously that path was completely disrupted last year with the canceled season. So I mean, you're looking at a span of like 3 off seasons to deal with before you're back on the field. So I think a lot of players might have been physically in different places, which is no fault of their own, but just kind of a byproduct of these circumstances. And I think and it's like that in any sport. When you hear it in every sport too, when teams get into training camps, when they're just getting going, those first few days back on the field are the toughest, and those first few games are toughest because you can't duplicate that. And I think when you get back in those scenarios and you start to try to ramp up, I think it's difficult on your body. And then when you have that long layoff, I think it just creates this horrible opening. And I think that's what we've seen with these injuries.
What team do you think is going to shine the most this year? Because I know Rick is a Toronto Argonauts fan. I'm a Riders fan. It's hard to say who's going to be the best team because there's so much turnover and we lost a lot of guys in different teams. Who do you think is going to shine the most this year after what you've already seen?
Yeah, I think Rick's in for a fun year. I don't know to the extent that the Argos are going to shine, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun watching them come together and try to figure things out. They surprised me in week 1. They hadn't won in Calgary, I think, in like 13 years or something, 10 years. And, I went in, and I think Rick's very big on McLeod Bethel Thompson, who played great. And I think he looked like a starter in week 1. And that's a guy that's had a remarkable journey, cut all over the place in the NFL and the CFL, and potentially could have a home year. I think that'll be super interesting. And my opinion on who shines, I think, has sort of even changed after just watching 1 week of games. I was a little hesitant on Winnipeg, and I know they were the defending champs, but this to me it was a slightly different setting for them, with especially at quarterback, because they kind of used, I always called it like a centaur with Zach Collaros as the arm, and then you had Chris Trevor as the legs running around. And that's gone, right? It's just Zach Collaros there, and he threw it back in week 1. I thought he looked like the 2014, 2015 pre-injury Zach Collaros. He looked so much more mobile than I remember him. I know he showed glimpses of that in Winnipeg last year, but I think Winnipeg right now to me is the most impressive team, just given that their defense was so strong. I didn't have a lot of questions about that defense before. I think it's a lot to ask a defense to carry a team, which I think Amanda, you saw in Saskatchewan the last few years before Cody Fajardo came in at quarterback. And I was worried that Winnipeg would head to that situation. If their offense plays the way they do, if Zach Collaros plays the way that he did in week 1, if he can keep that up and that dual threat ability, I just feel like the sky's the limit for Winnipeg right now.
I even saw Brady Olivieri at running back, which is really cool because he had second stringer going in, and he had a heck of a day too.
He did. He was, and then was another one of my hesitations. I didn't pick Winnipeg in week 1 just because Andrew Harris has been such a integral part of that offense. I mean, to me, if going into last week, if you take Andrew Harris out of that, that's a huge question mark. And to see Brady go in there and basically fill that void, I think it was like 126 yards, And he basically played that same role. Like they leaned on him the same way they leaned on Andrew Harris. And it kind of reminds me of in a way of that Nathan Rourke, Mike Riley conversation. Like this isn't maybe your starting running back for the present, but you've got something now in the future, and there's no question about that. And it just the sense around him coming out of training camp that they gave him the bulk of the reps while Andrew Harris was dealing with his calf injury, and I think they were resting him at the start of the camp before he got injured. It just sounds like they have so much faith in him. I think whenever Andrew Harris can come back, the job is his. But now they know they've got something. There's more depth there. That team, in a way, is just more impressive now with him there.
Yeah, I agree. I think Winnipeg is really the team to beat. I do believe Toronto is going to surprise some people, and I think that the COVID layoff actually benefited Toronto because if it was normal conditions with a less window to take all these new pieces and try to gel them together, I think it would be tougher to do. I think because of the longer layoff, where all these teams had a lot of turnover and a long layoff, it actually gives Toronto a chance to make up some ground. And I'm just saying, hey, they started the season, I was shocked, at plus 1,400. Their odds are now plus 600. So Vegas is recognizing that Toronto is a team to be reckoned with. Chris O'Leary here, senior writer for the CFL, who has his finger on the pulse as good as anybody we know. Chris, I have to ask, since you brought up my guy, McLeod Bethel-Thompson, who is responsible over there for doing the CFL QB rankings? Because I noticed McLeod Bethel-Thompson is ranked number 9 in the CFL QB power rankings. How does that happen?
This is the part of the show where I would sort of deflect responsibility and say that I didn't write that yesterday, but I did. I wrote it, but I didn't compile it. There's about 4 or 5 of us that vote. I think we had him at 8 in defense, just to say, I think there were 2 guys behind him as well. But I think, to me, I just, in my reasoning and voting that way, is I want to see just the consistency. I think that's been the one issue for Mac in the years past, is that he might have a good game, or he'll have a strong fourth quarter and kind of get them back in a game that they were out of, something like that. To me, if we can see this for 2-3 weeks in a row, I think his name climbs up that chart pretty quickly.
And I'll just go on record and say that, speaking to him several times, getting to know him, he has developed on the field, but he has developed more upstairs than anywhere else. His mental development, not just from the ability to read defenses, but a leadership standpoint, he is in such a great spot mentally. And he came out to the Hub football camp. There's no doubt in my mind he can play in the NFL. No doubt about it. He was throwing plays open, making sharp passes into tight windows. And the leadership, people gravitate towards this man. When you listen to McLeod Bethel-Thompson talk to a group of young men, that's what he is. He's a leader of men. And this is a guy that people will buy into. People will believe into him. Listen, I know Nick Arbuckle was a high-priced free agent acquisition. He's a very well-accomplished quarterback. I said it in the offseason. I'm going to stick with it here. He's back in the saddle for week 2. I'm just saying, keep an eye on McLeod Bethel-Thompson. Chris, we'll give you a little leeway here. I do want to get back over to your opening statement, though, just with the overall state of the CFL. And you mentioned the crowd attendance, and we're seeing like 30,000 people in the stands. Two-part question. One, do you think it was a product of just such the long layoff? Fans were itching, cabin fever. Hey, we want to get back out there. Or do you think there will be long-term sustainability with the fan attendance? Second part, I know CFL got a new TV contract with the ESPN deal. Did that provide, you don't have to go into detail, the financial details of it all, but did it give a little bit more breathing room to the CFL financially, or are they still kind of, holding their breath here, trying to piece it together from here and over there and making it work type of thing?
Well, first with the fans, I think that'll be a trend in the West. And I think the glitch with Canada is that each province has different capacities on their stadiums for public events. So out West, it's more open. And traditionally those Western teams have drawn well. Like Regina and Saskatchewan pretty much sell out all the time anyway. So I would expect the sellouts. I think Saskatchewan sold out almost right up to Labor Day already.
Yes.
For 3-4 games. I would expect Winnipeg would be, if not sold out, close to capacity as well. And then Calgary and Edmonton, I would think the numbers you saw there in week 1 would probably continue through the rest of the season. And I think there is some of that, just we've been cooped up, some provinces more than others. And I think people are just dying to get out and do something, anything. So I hope that kind of factors into kind of maybe drawing in some new fans for the CFL or fans that have been away for a while to come back. That would totally be within the realm of reason to me. With the and then obviously out east in Ontario and Quebec, it's a little different. I think capacity right now is a ceiling of I think 15,000 fans. So we'll see. And the league isn't hosting games in the East until next week, I believe. And I think Hamilton's the last one to go. I think they go on Labor Day. I would expect that one to be as full as it can be. If it's still at 15, it'll be 15. If the numbers change and they open it up a little bit more, that's a game that's traditionally sold out and draws well. As far as the ESPN deal, I'm not too sure on the specifics. There's, I guess, I think working virtually, especially, I think when you're in an office, you hear more things just in passing, and just having been at home for the last year and a half, and there's just like, this is my office now, and that kind of information I don't have, so I don't know that there is money there, or how that deal with ESPN benefits the CFL in a financial way.
Fair enough. Chris O'Leary, CFL senior writer, along with Rick Saratella, Amanda Ruler. Amanda, one more for Chris before we let him go.
I do have one. This is a tough one. Just really quick, picks for this week. There's only 6 games, so tell me, BC Lions Stamps, who's going to win?
I think Stamps.
Argos Bombers.
I struggle with that one, but I think I'd go Winnipeg at home.
Ooh. Als Elks.
I have a long-standing tradition of taking the Alouettes, so I'm going to continue that. And I'm a huge fan of Vernon Adams Jr. I really want to see what he can do this season. And I'm going to take Montreal for the upset in Edmonton.
Good take.
And then Hamilton Sask, right?
Oh yeah, Hamilton Sask. Oh, sorry, there was only 4. I was reading the next week out. I was like the 1920. Sorry, Hamilton Sask.
That's one I really struggle with, because I feel like Hamilton's going to play better this week, but I also know how tough Saskatchewan is at home and how well they started last week. I'm kind of up in the air, but I don't know. I feel like I'm going to flip-flop on it before I make my actual picks for the site this week. Right now, I would take Hamilton.
I'm going to pick Sask.
So
we'll surprise. We'll fight on that one. If you ever need like a guest picker on the site, right here. Sounds
we'll see
good.
how poorly mine go. I might sub you in for me.
Right? We'll do it one week.
Amanda putting Chris on the hot seat here with the picks. Rapid fire style. Come on, Chris. Got to get your weight up when you come on the State of Football here, part of the Fan Nation Network on Sports Illustrated. Chris, any parting shot for our listening audience at home? Any content you're working on we can be on the lookout for on the website? What can we tell everybody there going on at CFL.ca?
We're just we're trying to kind of get back into the flow that we were in for seasons past. I think we'll have our writers' picks up today for this week's games. I have to commit to four games in the next couple hours here, which is difficult. And just we've just got a ton of great game day coverage, everything you need in terms of stats, post game, all that stuff is up on the site of CFL.ca.
Outstanding. I am constantly on the website. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate the time here today. I know you've got a busy morning. So Chris O'Leary, everybody, thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
There he is, the State of Football debut of Chris O'Leary. What a wonderful job giving us the great insight into the Canadian Football League, Amanda. And we're hoping to have a CFL representative each and every Wednesday here on the State of Football. So a great way to recap week 1 and preview week 2. You put them on the hot seat there.
Exactly. No, I always read their, pick'ems like from the seasons previous. So I was excited to kind of ask him in person. So it was awesome to chat with him, CFL.
And just for the record, I did have Winnipeg on record here on the State of Football for my CFL predictions. So we're 1-0 on the CFL predictions. We're 1-0 on the NFL preseason predictions. Hey, I'll take it. Anytime I can go undefeated with my picks, and we'll have more of those tomorrow because there's some NFL preseason action that I'll make my selections. Any games that are being played, I will make my selections. And then Football Friday with Big Law, we've got a star-studded lineup there as well. Don't forget, tomorrow we'll have Dane Vandernat, Executive Director of the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl. We'll start talking about our scouting trails. We'll dive into the edge rusher draft class. I'm getting ready to head up to UConn this Saturday, check out the Huskies, trying to work my way over to Buffalo and then down to Pittsburgh, maybe stop in Syracuse, work my way back around again to New Jersey and Rutgers and Temple down in Philly. Oh, man, we're going to be on location across the nation. What a month, the beautiful month of August. I just can't get enough football here.
No, it's awesome. I love hearing your takes and arguing with you at Hooters over some wings.
Absolutely.
This really happened, guys.
Yes, this is what we do. And, by the way, hubfootball.com, the registrations are flooding in. You can still get on board. We're doing our best to get through all those registrations. It's a situation from San Diego here to the Jersey Shore. What do you got? Our super producer, Samantha, chiming in with. Are you going to be covering Saskatchewan this weekend? Our super producer, Samantha, wants to know.
Yeah, actually, so last weekend I got to do that with In the Huddle. So it's a TV show about the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I got to cover them last week. And this week is mini camp for McMaster. So I'm actually heading up to Hamilton. So I'll give you guys all the details on how they're looking, what's going on. I'm going to work these guys hard. So I will give you the scoop on that. And then the weekend after, I will be covering the Riders again. Then I am moving to Hamilton right after that.
It sounds like you're going to be giving them the Joe Judge treatment there, Amanda. You're going to be putting these guys through laps or what?
Oh, well, okay. I'm not that kind of coach. Like, I'll just say I'm disappointed. I won't give you laps because I like running. You're not going to throw the whole team out of practice and make them run? I love running so much. I would never make it a punishment. Like, to me, you get blessed with running. If you do good, you get to do laps. Does that make sense? I don't know. There you
go.
I'll let you know after the camp if they like me, if I'm fired. I don't know.
Well, no, I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait to hear about the McMaster Marauders. And then also, I can't keep up with you. Last time I checked or saw you floating around on my timeline, are you doing car commercials now? What's going on?
With BMW Canada, which is actually really cool. So I'm sponsored by them. So I get to do photo shoots and get a car, and it's kind of cool situation. So, yeah. All
right. Well, hey, get BMW Canada to call BMW New Jersey.
Okay.
Tell them we need a little help out here. And hey, I'll drive to San Diego next time if they're going to be lending out Beamers. So, hey, I'm just throwing it out there, but good to see you doing big things and different things. What else you got going on before we wrap things up? Anything else you want to plug or promote?
Ooh, I just getting psyched for mini camp. I've been lifting a lot. So I've been lifting. I kind of finished up with my training clients here because everyone's going back to their season. I was working with the university guys. I watched the Olympics, which is sad that it's over. And I got inspired to do a lifting video right there. So that was doing a snatch, and I kind of did a progression snatch where it was all the weights. I edited it myself. It looks kind of cool. So that's what I'm up to.
What are we snatching? What are we benching these days?
So my max snatch is 175 pounds, and I'm benching 225.
Oh, okay. 225, combine style.
Exactly. I can roll with the big guys out there.
Well, I'm not gonna. It's been a while since I've tried 225. I don't know. I don't know if we got that in me today.
No.
Well, the super producer doesn't believe in me, but hey, I'll tell you, I don't know. I might have one rep. I might have a rep in me there. Only if Amanda's spotting me though, because I might need the bailout plan. A lot of fun here today, Amanda. We appreciate you joining us each and every Wednesday. Are we going to be able to have you next Wednesday with the training camp schedule?
Yes, no, I'm back Monday, so I'll be back. It's only for the weekend.
All right, very good. I know our listening audience is happy to hear that. Hey, pay attention to the NFL Draft Bible over on Sports Illustrated. It's si.com/NFL/draft. We're banging you and bopping you over the head. We got rankings. We got scouting reports. There's 15,000 players ranked for 2021, 2022, and beyond. Over 300 scouting reports. It's only August 11th. It's our 20th year of coverage of the NFL draft. 2 decades of chasing excellence and striving for it, at least. So check us out. Follow us on Twitter. Big shout out to all of our guests. Anthony Mahonga, the Frankfurt Galaxy wide receiver. We had Josh Alper from Pro Football Talk. Also, Chris O'Leary from the CFL. Of course, Amanda Ruler, my co-host each and every Wednesday. Big shout out to the Glue, Samantha, super producer behind the scenes. We'll be back at it again tomorrow with Dane Vandernat, Neil Stratton on the State of Football, part of the Fan Nation Network on Sports Illustrated. It's your home for real football talk in the mornings.